Well, we are monitoring the campaign trail for you as both campaigns blitz key states in the final stretch of the presidential race. But guess who's not there? President Joe Biden. The sitting president is holed up in Wilmington, Delaware, with no public events 48 hours before the election. And Obama's former speechwriter labeled him, quote, a liability to his own legacy. That's harsh, and that's a Democrat. And he's a liability to the vice president's campaign. Now, that was after yet another shocking remark about Trump supporters at a stump speech in Pennsylvania yesterday. Lucas Tomlinson is at the White House with the latest. Lucas.
Well, good afternoon, Kaylee. 2 weeks ago, President Biden said he wanted to lock up Donald Trump. Then he called his supporters garbage. And then this remark yesterday while visiting his childhood home of Scranton.
There's one more thing Trump and his Republican friends want to do. They want another giant tax cut for the wealthy. Now, I know some of you guys are tempted to think it's macho guy. I'll tell you what, man. These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the
Now, Larry, with the ladies present, the producers wanted to bleep that out. Here was President Biden last week while speaking on that Zoom call to Latino voters.
And just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
And a former Obama speechwriter says the president is better off staying home.
If I was Joe Biden, and I knew, look, his legacy obviously is at stake in this election, and he is the president of the United States, got a lot of work to do as president, I would probably look at the numbers, I would look at the race and say, I'm going to focus on being president over the next couple of days. And that's probably the best, that's the best thing he can do for not just the Harris campaign, but himself and his legacy too.
Now, one number that President Biden and the Harris campaign are looking at is President Biden's approval number. That still hovers around 40%. It's been underwater ever since the hasty pullout of Afghanistan. As you mentioned, Kaylee, the president is spending the day in Wilmington. He has no plans to campaign with his vice president before the election. Of course, they haven't been seen together on the trail since Labor Day at the beginning of football season. Kaylee?
I wonder why. Curious. Thank you very much, Lucas. So, Marie, I mean, Biden yesterday said that Republicans like Trump are the kinds of guys you'd like to smack in the, it's Sunday, so we'll say tail. But care to translate?
I don't even know what that means.
I don't either.
I don't even, look, I sat on this couch the day after the Biden-Trump debate in June. And my party went through a ton of hand-wringing over many weeks that resulted in us realizing that our candidate was too old and too, I don't know what the other words are, to continue to run in this campaign. And I was actually proud of that process and that decision. And we're sitting here today with, you're right, Joe Biden, there is nothing left on the fastball. Like, I don't think he should be out there on the campaign trail. I think he's done a wonderful job in many ways as president. I think the fact that we have Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Michelle Obama, these crowds they're getting on the campaign trail are phenomenal. And I think I look at the other side, and they now have the old candidate in the race. They have the candidate now who rambles on the stump, who says things that are totally incoherent, who by the way, in September called supporters of Kamala Harris absolute garbage
many
and
Republicans
scum.
would take issue with that and the rambling.
Can I just
they
ask,
see someone who's very sharp, but I do want to ask.
Can I ask Marie?
I do want to ask you because we have seen.
Can I ask Marie?
One moment,
what?
Larry.
I'm sorry.
I do just want to quickly ask you this because we have seen Biden talk. Yes, he has like a, the way he talks isn't always perfect.
Yeah.
But he has talked about foreign policy with fluidity. He is there with it. And yet he made the Trump lock him up comment. He made the garbage comment, and he made this. Is there any chance there's some intention here? Because he's not a dumb person.
I've seen you ask this question before, so I've thought about it. I don't think so. I just think he's not a precise speaker. And I do think whether or not you support President Trump, he is not a precise speaker. He called it this week the weave, where he goes from topic to topic and rambles and talks about sharks and Hannibal Lecter. He is not a precise, disciplined speaker on the campaign trail, and we see voters responding to
Trump
that.
Trump is one of the best messaging communicators in political history. But I wanted to go back to something you said before. Okay, so Joe Biden crashes and burns in the first debate against Donald Trump, and you said what? There was an orderly process to remove him? What was that? This is the party that worries about threats to democracy? So let me get this right. So former President Obama and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer just take Biden out and put Kamala in. There were no primaries, no votes, no nothing. I wouldn't say that was democratic? I wouldn't say that was I would say that's a threat to democracy. And I think a lot of people still, as we come into the final days, that sits in their craw. How did it happen exactly that a sitting president got pulled out and somebody else got put in without a single vote? How'd that happen?
To Marie today, I think we know.
Yeah,
you said that people, and you were at the State Department, so I would imagine you're still connected to even people in this current administration. You guys were talking about, well, what do you do now? I mean, I think you get the answer.
How'd that happen?
Joe Biden made that decision. We saw him. He didn't want to make it. He read the polls. He talked to his political advisors.
Heard from many of you,
and he
from what
knew,
you just said.
and he knew that there was no chance that he would win. And
where are the votes?
He said
Marie,
he would have
where are the votes?
He said he would have to hear from God. He did not hear from God.
Right.
He heard from Nancy Pelosi.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.